Guy Martin is a third-generation lorry mechanic from Lincolnshire.
Started on lawnmowers at 6-year-old. And then 12-year-old, moved on to trucks. Used to bike to work to go work with my dad. Could not get to work fast enough. I'm still the same now, I think.
He's also a world-famous motorcycle racer who loves the dangers of competing on the roads. As a mechanic,
Trick as you like.
he's fascinated by the era when British workers and extraordinary feats of engineering made this country great. The Industrial Revolution.
That's when we was like the leaders in the world, wasn't it? Bar no one, really. We was the boys, weren't we?
So, in this series, he's going to find out how we did it by getting stuck into 6 major restoration projects around the UK. He'll have to work like the grafters of the past.
It was the normal thing to be doing 12, 14, 15-hour days, that sort of thing. And I think, yeah, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that.
He'll follow in their footsteps to learn about their way of life
That's all right.
and the dangers they faced.
Put some heat off that. Day in, day out, thought we're getting killed. Risky business. We've got it cushy now, haven't we? If it wasn't for those boys, what, 150 odd years ago, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. We can't forget what those boys did, can we?
This is how Britain worked. One group of people, more than any other, fueled this country's most radical change. Every engine, furnace and forge was powered by the back-breaking toil of a mighty underground workforce. The coal miners.
If it weren't for these fellas here, there would have been no industrial revolution in Britain. Quite simple. It's quite simple. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Burning coal wasn't new, but for centuries it had only been gathered in small quantities from shallow pits. It was used mainly by blacksmiths and ironmongers, or for heating our homes. At the start of the 18th century, all that changed. Coal began to be mined on an industrial scale. And for the first time, the nation had a powerful, portable energy for trains, ships, steam engines, and factories. The modern world was born.
People don't realise, they think of coal just wetting steam trains and, to keep your fire warm. But it was the backbone of the whole industrial revolution. It's what it was all about, the coal miners.
Guy's project this time is about the one machine that made all this possible. Newcomen's beam engine. It was a huge steam-powered water pump. It meant that pit shafts could go deeper without miners facing the dangers of flooding.
Newcomen's design changed coal production in England massively. You're looking at 1700, 2 million tonnes of coal came out of the country. It's all right, isn't it? You don't want it on top of you. But 1730, 7 million tonnes of coal. Not bad going here, all down to this.
At the Black Country Museum in Dudley is the world's only workable Newcomen beam engine, built to the exact specifications of the 18th century original, but it's in desperate need of a massive overhaul. Guy's joining the team of enthusiasts dedicated to saving this rare link to our past.
We need to keep stuff like this alive. We don't need to forget. We keep it going. There was sort of 10 a penny, 300 odd years ago. There was 1,500 of them in the country. And when we get this one finished, this will be the only running Newcomen beam engine in the world.
Over the coming months, Guy will help the experts restore the machine. They'll need to replace the rotting exterior frame, recondition the boiler, rebuild the crumbling shaft wall, and refurbish nearly all of the engine's 50 working parts.
That's it, bit of gentle persuasion.
Along the way, Guy will find out just how tough 18th century mining was.
Look at that.
You won't get coal now, then.
And discover how the men and women of the first mining towns forged a new way of life.
It's cracking, that. Hey?
The first job facing the team is a big one. The entire oak frame above the mine shaft has decayed and needs to be replaced.
So she's proper rotten.
Rotten.
Oh,
So
look.
I'm hoping that'll just come clean.
Look, see that? See that there? Proper rotten. That there?
Yeah.
Happy enough?
Yeah.
Guy is helping to take the old frame apart.
Here, right?
A crane will complete the job, pulling out the dismantled sections. Once cleared, it will be replaced with new English oak.
Do you want me to cut them up right?
When the engine was first built, it represented cutting-edge technology.
Oh, you're just lifting it from the top. 1712, folk could be looking at that and saying, "Now, what is it? What's it doing?" Folk had never seen anything like this before, ever. It'd be like a bit of, would it be like witchcraft or something? What's happening here, wouldn't it? That's what it will be, like a bit of witchcraft or something. You know, ooh. You know, like that. Is that what folk do? Ooh. Yeah, we still do that in Lincolnshire. Aeroplanes.
Keith Jones is supervising the new timber work on the beam engine. He knows he's got a hard act to follow.
1712, no cranes as we see them today, no hard hats, no bother like that. They just got on and did it. What we're doing today with 2 or 3 people, they'd have had 20 or 30 people doing it.
You reckon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Blocks and tackles and horses and ropes and
Blocks and tackle.
blocks and tackle and the best computer in the world, your brain, just get on and do it. But it's just staggering what they achieve.
You're
With
impressed,
nothing.
genuinely
Oh
impressed.
God, genuinely impressed. But how they got some of those lumps of wood up there, I mean the main beam on that engine, it probably weighs best part of 3 tons.
Is that one solid piece of oak?
One solid piece of
All
oak,
right.
yeah. One
3
tree.
ton, you reckon?
Well, easily, probably more than that.
You reckon?
Yes.
Behind all this hard labour lay one man's ingenuity. No pictures survive of Thomas Newcomen, but we know that he came from Devon and was an ironmonger by trade. Many of his customers ran local tin mines where workers faced the daily danger of drowning. Newcomen solved their problem by cracking an age-old puzzle. He successfully harnessed the power of steam. To work out how he did it, Guy's found himself a perfect copy of his machine, in miniature.
Yeah, so what we've got here is the Newcomen beam engine. We've got the boiler down here, which is obviously boiling the water. Which boiling water, you're going to create a steam out. You're going to send the steam down this pipe here, up through that valve, into the bottom of the cylinder, right? So when we've got the cylinder full of steam, in this position there, the piston at the very top, right, we're going to close the steam valve off at the bottom, open the water valve up at the back, let the cold water into the steam, which condenses the steam, creates a vacuum, draws the piston down, drawing the piston down, pulls the pump up, pulls the water out your mine, and pumps it away. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so what we've got here then is just, yeah, the miniature version, but nearly exact scale of the engine we've got here.
The original's 3-ton oak beam and 50 moving parts are still lying idle. But if the team succeed, they'll have resurrected the first mechanical wonder of the industrial age.
This one here is going to take a bit of work to get a ship shape again. But it'll be running like this. I mean, it might take a bit of work, yeah, but we will get it running like this. Here, right?
Guy Martin is helping to restore the world's only workable Newcomen beam engine. The giant water pump that made industrial-scale mining possible for the first time. Back in 1712, it fueled Britain's industrial revolution. The engine's new oak head frame has been delivered. Guy's helping the restoration team to put it in place. The last few bolts need to be secured.
Oh, it's looking a treat.
Newcomen's engine protected miners from drowning, but the new deep mines presented other dangers. And while Guy waits for the team to move on to the next stage of the project, he finds out more about them.
from 1750 to 1950, there was 150,000 people killed down a mine. I mean, that's not 150, that's 150,000. That's a lot of folk, that. And I'm just looking here, right? You can see, really, you can see why. I mean, we've got the roof supports here, just with a wedge. But no, it's no wonder so many folk was killed, eh? That's not going to pass health and safety now, is it? Eh? We've got that there. Look here. What's happened there? What's happened there? You fellas in there with his pickaxe, smashing it off the face. These boys aren't messing about. That's proper work, that. Proper work.
One of the biggest challenges facing miners was seeing what they were doing.
They had these, you know, these stuck on the side of their helmets with clay-mounted lights. I mean, you're not going to see a lot with that, really, are you? Really, I mean, you know, a blind man would be pleased to see it, wouldn't he? But by heck, eh?
Carrying a naked flame could be deadly because of underground gases that miners called fire damp. The main culprit was methane. Guy's about to find out just how dangerous it could be.
You know, with the right concentrations, it's lethal. You get big explosions down there. You know, you've got a naked flame strapped on the side of your helmet. You're going to set these explosions off, aren't you? So, yeah, dangerous business. I'll be all right holding the thing. I'll just stand it out. Honestly, it'll be rigged. Do you reckon?
In early deep mining, the task Guy is performing fell to the colliery fireman, employed not to put fires out, but to start them. He'd be the first into the mine shaft, and he frequently wouldn't make it out.
He's the fireman. Now, this one, he could have been a rum lad, this man, because he could have been in prison. And this was really a job that give a few prisoners, or they give them, you know, they get a bit of early release, or one of the miners that wanted to earn a bit more money. He looked a bit like, you can see, he looked like a bit like the Grim Reaper. You know, and that was wet through, that coat he was wearing, you know, it looks a bit like the Grim Reaper, covered, you know, it's drenched in water, just in case, you know, he found a pocket of methane or whatever it was. You know, hopefully we had either a very little concentration or a massive concentration of methane and you get away with just burning them off. But if you had that very fine line of 5 to 15% concentration, that's when you had explosions. You all right? Oh. Some heat off that.
In 1812, a gas explosion in a colliery near Newcastle upon Tyne killed 92 miners. Action had to be taken, and it was British inventor Humphrey Davy who took it. He created the Davy Lamp. David Mather comes from a long line of lamp makers. He still manufactures lamps for mining today.
That's a bit wonky, that. Do you think we should take that out and start again?
With David's help, Guy is going to assemble his own lamp.
I mean, we don't want to take that down the pit, do we?
Not really, no.
In the original design, Davy surrounded the flame with fine metal gauze. He'd realised that fire couldn't get through the gauze, but the problem was, nor could much light.
That was it.
So you wouldn't really be much use for seeing where you was going then?
Not an awful lot. It's better than a naked flame, I suppose. But,
of course, yeah.
You know, it was a light of sorts.
Later designs, like the one Guy's making, added a glass window below the gauze to produce more light. But for some miners, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, this lad, he managed to break into a lamp, and you know, and he got done for it. He got locked up for 3 months, and I think fair enough. You know, if somehow you managed to open the lamp, you know, and the flame was naked, it was going to light whatever, you know, sources of methane there was. It was going to light the job, you know, and kill a lot of people.
The next step was to make the lamps tamper-proof. An elegant magnetic lock was fitted.
To be able to undo this lock, you see, that catch needs to move back there. So you put the magnet on there, and it moves that piston in there, you see, but there's nothing moving externally. You see, so when you put that there, you put your lock across, let go, and that's you. She's locked. How trick was that? The magnetic locking system. You know, if you hadn't have a magnet, there was no way you was getting into there, was you? There was no way you was going to get into the lamp. The miners down the shaft didn't have the magnet.
No, the magnets are contraband because you could use it to open a lamp, in theory.
Is that right? We'll start to get it finished, can't we, I suppose? So, right.
Let's get it lit.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the, you know, like we've done with everything we've done tonight, it's the precision. You know, the precision. And, you know, you just think a bit of a lamp, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, it's only a bit of a lamp, a bit of glass, few bags, you know, a bit of tin. It's not that. All the gears, there's gears in there. You know, gears and the striker mechanism and the method, you know, to lift the wick up and down. You know, it's cracking. You know, that old milled out. It's just, you know, it's a proper piece of precision engineering. Well impressed.
Will it light?
Will it light?
There you go.
There you go.
Hooray.
Lovely, isn't it? What a work of art. There she goes. Badge and everything. No messing. Well, thanks very much.
Back at the Black Country Museum, the restoration team is turning its attention to the heart of the machine, its boiler. First task, a thorough service. The bolts have seized on the boiler's inspection panel and need to be loosened with a blowtorch. Jeff Wallace is the engineer in charge of the restoration.
She's
No,
tight.
it's not going.
No, a bit more heat.
This was actually the first fully operational, practical steam engine. The problem with early steam engines was that they thought you needed pressure in the steam to do any useful work. And what Thomas Newcomen realised was that the atmosphere has weight, has pressure. So if you create a vacuum underneath this piston, the atmosphere pushes it down.
Newcomen had found a way to move his pump with the minimum of effort. Once steam from the boiler had pushed the piston up, he condensed that steam, creating a vacuum. All that was needed to push the piston back down was the natural pressure of the atmosphere.
So we don't need a boiler to withstand, what, like a steam train? What, they're looking at 200 psi?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right, so a lot safer then.
Absolutely. And you can make it as big as you like. So if you've got a deep pit or a lot of water to pump out, you can make a bigger engine without having to have any greater steam pressure.
Ah, of course.
Let's see if we can get it off, shall we?
Yeah.
The 700-gallon boiler hasn't been inspected for 30 years. If there are any problems inside, it'll be a major setback for the restoration.
Shall we have a look in then, Jeff?
Right, moment of truth then, Guy. Go on.
I don't exactly know what I'm looking for.
Don't drop the torch in, whatever you do.
Oh, there's a fair bit of water in there then.
The giant kettle bears the scars of its service. Limescale and rust.
What exactly are you looking for? I mean, there's a lot of corrosion in it, but then I've not seen inside many beam
No, there's a
engines.
bit of light rusting, but otherwise it doesn't look too bad at all. Yeah, we'll drain it all down, we'll dry it, and then we'll just vacuum out any debris that's in there.
How do you vacuum it out?
Vacuum cleaner with a long
Oh,
hose
dear.
on it.
Yeah.
The pump mechanism that drains the pit needs to be serviced. So Jeff and Guy head down into the mine shaft below the beam engine.
Spot on, sir. Spot on. It smells a bit pungent.
The silt and debris that's been blocking the drains has to be cleared out. If they get the beam engine running, this is where it will pump water from.
What's that?
That is what they call a foreign object, Guy. It shouldn't be in there at all.
Well, Jeff's calling it a foreign object, so if that's what Jeff says, right, that'll do. We'll file that in the bin.
While Jeff carries on with the cleaning, Guy's planning to fetch something special for the engine's big day. He wants to fire up the mighty machine with a few shovelfuls of coal that he's mined himself.
Guy, have you done any mining before?
Oh, I've never been down a mine. Have you ever done any?
I haven't, but I've been in some fairly crowded mines and it's pretty scary, you know.
It's all right going in there with your fancy modern drills and all that and doing it and blasting it off with a bit of TNT, but I'm going to go in there with a pickaxe and do it, so yeah, it'll put manners in me, I think.
Caphouse Colliery in Yorkshire. It was worked from the 18th century until 1985. Now guys come here to discover what it took to earn a living underground. In Newcomen's time, miners worked 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. A large chunk of that workforce consisted of women and children.
They got paid for the amount of coal that they got out of the mine. You know, it was better off to keep the money in the family, you know, rather than there's the dad mining the coal off the coalface and then having to go and get another bloke to pull the coal back from there to get it lifted out. You know, that's more, you're better off keep the money in the family. So I get the missus to do that.
Guy's managed to persuade his fiancée, Stephanie Edgar, to join him. They're going to find out how the mining couples of old worked together down a pit.
Now then, Andy.
How's it going?
How's it going, mate?
Andy Smith, a miner for 35 years,
Hi, Andy. Nice to meet you.
is their guide.
Thank you very much.
Like Guy, Steph has never set foot in a mine.
When it sets up with a bit of a jerk, so don't be alarmed. Okay. Right, we're on his way.
Nervous, Stephanie.
I'm a bit nervous.
We're on his way. 450 feet we're going into ground. It's same height as Blackpool Tower.
Fairish then.
Right, okay.
They started building these shafts in 1700s and just kept extending when they run out of coal.
By 1850, there were over 3,000 privately owned deep mines in Britain, producing 50 million tonnes of coal a year.
Now we're being lowered down by a 16mm rope. One.
It'll do.
Single line component about as thick as your thumb.
Yeah.
So we're okay with that, aren't we?
Oh, that's not more than me, but.
But
How many folks would it be allowed in here?
20.
At the height? 20. Gosh, you're a bit cosy in here with 20.
You're a bit squashed up on a Monday morning, yeah.
What are you renting, lass?
I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not sure what we're going to find at the bottom. I've got visions of just a tunnel. I'm going to crawl through with me.
You'll be all right.
Basket.
What's your knee pads?
Oh, we're slowing down.
So what's that there? Is that like the tea room there?
There's no tea rooms underground, guy.
Is there not?
No.
A family working underground for 12 hours would only stop working once during the whole day for a 20-minute break.
How far are we going?
Oh, fair way.
Come on, lass, don't be slacking. Come on.
Just get on the straight again.
Ready?
Right, we're off.
A husband and wife mining team could produce 3 tonnes of coal a day.
Right, come on, guy, then.
Good man.
This is where we're going, lad.
All right, lass.
Right in there.
Okay,
So I'll
then.
get scrabbling in there.
Ah, you'll get scrabbling in there, lad. I'll follow you.
So this is it then. We are at the Coalface.
This is the Coalface, yeah. Hang that oil lamp up before we start.
Right.
You can't swing a pig within a metre of that.
Right, just watch your then and I'll get chiseling away.
That's it. That's the style.
Okay,
You work it coal now, man.
You've got plenty there.
Every piece is worth money.
Yeah.
We're after about 3 tonne in 12 hours. How
3
that
tonne?
fix you?
Oh, yeah, that's not a bother.
You've done about 20 ounces up to now.
Cheeky bugger. I've done more than that.
The man cut the coal and was called a hewer. His wife was the hurrier, and she dragged a basket, called a corve, out of the mine.
Oh,
Children were employed as trappers to open and close the trapdoors that ventilated the shafts.
if Steph can load it as fast as I chisel it out,
Oh, women were highly effective in this day and age, guys.
Oh, was it?
They were tough people. They even used to get dressed up as men so they could do men's jobs to get paid that extra.
Did they?
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? How are you getting on, lass?
I think I could do take my coat off.
Taking your coat off?
Oh, it's quite hard work.
Mines were notoriously hot, and the further down the workings went, the hotter they got. The Snowdown Colliery in Kent was one of the deepest. It was known to its sweltering workforce as the Inferno.
It's all right for us. We've got a bit of ventilation in this shaft. I mean, all the way through the Industrial Revolution, there's no ventilations in the shaft, is there? No. I mean, they'd be sweltering.
Oh, it'll be red hot.
Red hot, wouldn't it?
Aye.
The fellas have been working with the tops off.
Just the underpants, shorts, at worst.
Yeah?
Aye.
Yeah? Have you ever worked in your underpants?
I have, aye.
In a hotel?
I used to keep my socks on.
Oh, did you? Oh, well, that's all about it. I know the women are getting naked,
Oh,
though.
right, women get naked, aye. Well, they have to
Nothing
do.
on. No bra or kecks or out, that's naked.
If you're lucky, I'll take my coat off.
Hey.
Much as you get.
Miners would drink 8 pints of water in a shift, and in time coal boards supplied salt tablets to counter the effects of sweat loss.
Right, yeah, so these fellas we're talking about, these fellas working in the mines, they were the men, really. If it weren't for them fellas, Industrial Revolution wouldn't have been going, would it?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been going. They was the men behind it.
That's right.
Them fellas had it hard.
We're making a bit of progress on the basket.
Oh, yeah, well, go on, give us an idea. Where are we?
I think we're
Halfway,
about-
quarter-way.
We're about 2/3 full, I think.
Oh, my word.
Don't get too enthusiastic.
I know, look.
It's all about safety and thinking.
To get the measure of the job, Guy, Steph and Andy need to turn off the electric lights. All the miners of the time would have had was a safety lamp.
What, turn them off?
Oh, turn them off, Oh, it's easy now, guy, isn't it? Eh?
You can see a bit. We can turn the flame up, can we?
Yeah, you can turn the flame, yeah.
Oh, look at that, man. She's daylight. Hey, daylight, that.
Is that as bright as it would get?
Yeah, that's as bright as it'll get, yeah.
Yeah, that is flat out, that. And that wouldn't last that
Oh, it won't last, no. Dangerous, isn't it, like this?
Yeah.
Things were even worse for the women pulling the corves. For them, a lamp was considered an expensive and unnecessary luxury.
We've been working, be a lamp, but really, the woman taking the coal back, had no light at all, nothing. Not even a safety lamp.
Right, so we're turning these off then.
Everything off. Everything off.
Go on.
I'll even turn the safety light off.
That is dark. Where are we going?
Straight on and then left, I think. Just feel your way through.
Oh, God, it's heavy, isn't it?
The women, they had it proper hard. They had this cove full of, I bet you, 50 or 60 kilos of coal on a sled, towing it in the pitch black. That is black, isn't it?
It is totally dark, isn't it? Where are you? Which one's you? Which one's Andy? Where is Andy?
Where are you? Where are you?
Can't see me.
He's on that one before.
But this would be just one woman's job, like no help from anybody.
No help, no light. You'd have 8 mile a day to do. Eh?
8 miles in one day.
In one day.
Every day.
Yeah, and look at this. There's me and Andy having to help you pull this.
I know.
Proper
yeah.
graft.
Straight on, then we're going a bit to the right.
And then out.
Work in the mines was notoriously hard. There were terrible conditions, exhaustion, injury and death. Over time, stories of tragedy led to public outcry and political pressure. In the 1840s, the Mines Act finally banned women and children from working underground.
Right, the lift's just round the corner, so we're nearly there, nearly home.
Good laugh. Nearly. We've got
Is that it?
Success.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was glad to get back to the top, I'll tell you. To come back for what? Another 10 hours and then go back down for another 12 hours. Day in, day out. If that was my job, day in, day out, yeah, I think that's graft, that. Not a lot to look forward to. Definitely not.
Mission accomplished. Guy can now head back to Dudley, but there's still a lot to do before he can shovel his coal into the beam engine's furnace and enjoy the spectacle of this engineering masterpiece working again. At the Black Country Museum in Dudley, Guy Martin is helping a team of experts bring Britain's last workable Newcomen beam engine back to life. It's the invention that kick-started the Industrial Revolution by making deep coal mining viable. The team are halfway through the project. They've replaced the oak frame and they're giving the giant boiler a thorough service. Guy joins project leader Jeff Wallace as he's cleaning it out with his custom-built vacuum cleaner.
Do you do much hoovering, Jeff?
As little as I can get away with.
Yeah.
Next, all of the beam engine's moving components need to be checked and serviced. The cold water injection valve is leaking. It may be one of the smallest components in the machine, but it's also one of the cleverest.
That's it, bit of gentle persuasion.
Pushing the piston up with steam is the easy part. Getting it down again is more difficult. But by injecting cold water, the valve turns the steam back to water in an instant, removing the piston's support. This effect brought the pump's motion under total control.
So what needs doing here then? Oh, that is very loose, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see where the water's
That's
been
what-
coming out,
yeah.
can't you, at both ends?
Yeah. So how long's that been leaking for?
I'd guess it might be 30 years.
Oh, right. Oh, it's not done bad then, eh?
Let's take him out and have a look.
You ready?
Yep,
Yep.
there it is.
There's not a lot to it, really, is there?
That's right.
So this is
Well,
where it's leaking past here on this taper.
I think it's got a bit scored here, isn't it? So we need to clean it all up, and then we'll try fitting it in and see whether it'll turn once we've
Maybe you can
refitted
feel
it.
the ridges in there.
Yeah, this is precision engineering. You've got to have this absolutely right, or it's going to be either jamming up or leaking water all over the place. OK, so we've got rid of the high spots now.
Yeah.
I think we may find this is going to do the job.
No problem.
You notice how free that is now, look?
Yeah.
It's in there nicely. That's
Yeah.
going to work, isn't it? Good
Spot
job.
on, sir. Spot on. So it means a lot to you then, keeping it going.
Yeah, we're learning a lot.
Yeah,
And,
I'm learning a lot.
put it right for the next 30 years, and then the next generation can play with it. Oh, did I say play with it? Let's try it, shall we? That's free enough, isn't
Yeah,
it?
free enough there.
That looks like a good job. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks very much, Jeff. Spot on.
Coal didn't just change the way people worked, it changed the way they lived as well. Vast communities grew up around coal fields as poor rural families flocked to the offer of guaranteed jobs. But as villages became towns and towns great cities, they found themselves in alien surroundings. Down the road from the beam engine, there's a perfectly preserved miner's house. Guy's visiting it to find out what this new life was like.
I suppose there's a lot of jobs back then that was all mucky jobs, but especially being the miner. Being the miner was a proper blacko job. It's all right, you got an house with a job. It's all right, it's not the biggest of houses, it's not a mansion, be a long shot, but it's all right. It's all right. You get your 3 ton of discounted coal for a year, so that's all right. But you'd need it. You'd need your 3 ton of discounted coal a year. I mean, that was the latest invention of the time, dead efficient. I was saying dead efficient for eating your house and cooking your food and, you know, eating your irons and all that, but it still used 1.5 tons of coal a month. Well, you know, working down the mine, you're going to be blathered, aren't you? Blathered. It's going to be in your ear holes, in your hair. The miners, I don't know if you get it in industry so much now, but he was like a proper community spirit. I don't know if that's what you call it. Most of these lads here, they'd be working with their next door neighbour. And I finish work, and I don't see anyone at work until I get back there the next day. But these lads here, they're all sat having they're all covered from arsehole to earhole in coal dust. All sat around having a brew and a fag. Here, this must be a weekend, not work. They're all playing in a band with a big trumpet somewhere. Yeah, so they're doing that at a weekend, and then here they're playing a bit of rugby. But I think, yeah, it's a bit of community spirit, isn't it?
At the Black Country Museum, they're edging towards the day when the beam engine can be fired up once again. Guy is back to help repair the brick wall that insulates the boiler.
Got a bit of a problem with the brickwork around here. So this is the brickwork around the boiler. The hot gases come from the furnace and they go up into a flue and right the way around the boiler.
Yeah.
And then up the chimney here. But we did have a rather big crack here. So we've taken out the bricks. We're back to good stuff now.
Yeah.
But what we need is some more bricks. But we've got to have the right sort of size bricks, and also we've got to match the colour. Right. So you want to get the clay right and get the firing right. So it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, easier said than done, I think.
Guy needs traditionally made bricks, so he's visiting Brickworks in York, where they still use some 18th century production methods. There's still a demand for traditional bricks from conservation and specialist building projects. First, the brickmakers mix clay, sand and water. This mixture is then thrown into moulds. Mark Todd is the main moulder here.
Well, these boys here, they're doing 1,500 a day. 1,500 a day, that's some going, that, isn't it? You see the size of the arms on the man? Hey, I won't want to scrap with him. Definitely not. I'll watch you again, go on.
So you're going for that sort of shape there?
Right, I'll aim for that.
Okay.
Pick it up.
It looks really easy, doesn't it?
It does look easy.
Yeah. That's it, that's not bad. Right, so as I take that off you, you then need to start picking up the next one.
I need to be a bit quicker, don't I?
Yeah, you need to be really fast.
Back in the Industrial Revolution, they were starting at 8-year-old. 8-year-old, you know, they'd be all right, they'd be a labourer at 8-year-old, and obviously when they was passing the clay off the conveyor belt and putting it down and shaping it, you know, they'd be learning off what the brick moulder was doing.
How about this one?
I'm honoured. You see that? My own name in the bottom of a mould. Trick ass.
During the Industrial Revolution, brickmaking became one of Britain's great industries, and hand moulding was just the beginning. Never before had there been such a building boom, and brick was the basic unit of this new world.
All right.
That's it, then just turn it straight over.
As demand reached staggering levels, mass production took over. By 1895, the London Brickworks produced 25 million bricks, solely for the construction of the railways.
It's a bit of a, should we scrap that one?
Yeah, let's scrap that one.
Look a bit of a pig's here, doesn't it?
That's it.
And it took a few goes to get that sort of Well, no, I don't know if I did actually master it. It took a few goes to do it something like, you know, but then pulling it off and you couldn't rush it in this. But it's all right, me doing like maybe 1 or 2 half-decent bricks out of a dozen. There was only 1 or 2 that you could maybe put my name to, and it took me thick end of an hour to do that. We're getting a fair old heap on there, bro.
Building a bit of a wall between us now.
Bloody.
Once moulded, bricks have to be fired before they can be used.
No, you don't like it.
Pigs here. Pigs here.
In the 1700s, the method of firing bricks hadn't changed since the Middle Ages. It happened in a makeshift kiln called a clamp.
So what exactly are we doing then? We're going to replicate the way that they made bricks.
In the 18th century.
18th century.
Yeah.
No one at the company has ever made a clamp, but master brickmaker Steve Bitham is going to try.
When it comes to brickmaking, Steve is the man. He knows the ins and outs of brickmaking.
Steve and Guy stack up some finished bricks to form the clamp.
We got, you know, a few bricks, loose bricks, mixed them together, and started building a bit of a, you know, like a mini furnace, really.
Guy's wet, moulded bricks are stacked into the clamp. Coal slag is tipped in between the rows. This will help the fire reach at least 1,000 degrees.
We need to get these up to a certain temperature to mature the clay so it's hard enough to perform its job of, you know, building houses. And if you didn't reach the desired temperature, these bricks would fail.
An average industrial clamp would have contained anything between 30 and 40,000 bricks, sometimes even more.
You know, back in the 1800s, there was making 1 million bricks.
Yeah.
1 million bricks in one go. In one go. We're making 1 million bricks in one go.
Yeah. Trying to seal the cracks.
Once the clamp is sealed with clay, a fire is started to bake the bricks slowly inside.
Feel the heat already. Feel the heat. We're not quite at 1,000 or something, but you feel the heat.
There is still moisture in there which you need to get rid of slowly with the heat from the
Get rid of
kiln
it
itself.
slowly?
If you don't, you end up, the bricks will just blow.
What's that then? Is that the bricks cracking?
I think that's bricks exploding.
You reckon?
Yeah.
You heard that there? Yeah.
Well, that's the moisture that's still in the brick. Bang, expanding.
Yeah.
That's it.
You wouldn't think, would you? But you didn't expect it to go
No,
as well
I
as
didn't.
that.
I didn't. No.
And
I
that
didn't
each
think
one of
it
those,
was like
you know, like a bit of a crack there, that's the brick exploding. Yeah, right there.
The livelihood of brickmakers depended on how well they could build a clamp.
How are we doing, Guy?
Hot. Very, very hot.
Waste had to be kept to a minimum. A failure rate of more than 1 in 5 bricks could lose the brickmaker his job. Hopefully, Guy will have enough for the beam engine.
So what do you reckon then?
Well, it reached temperature last night, so hopefully we'll have a good firing. Let's take the top off.
It's getting warm.
They're looking a bit soft, if I'm being honest.
And what we're going to use is a bit of a test, just the tapping the bricks together.
Hopefully.
That's what we're going to use. Yeah. Oh, that's the method that they use now. Is tap the 2 bricks together, and if you get that ringing noise, they're all right. There you go. Right. See there.
It's just unfired. It's not fired.
I think we've got about 80% of bricks that we could use. Yeah, a bit of a ring off them. That's bang on. Yeah, that's just as good as the modern fired bricks. The biggest thing with bricks is if you don't get it right and you don't fire them right is when they're attacked by frost. But you know they're in a boiler house, so we're gonna have no frost bother in there, are we? Yeah, they'll be grand.
That'll do you.
After 7 months of hard work, repairing the brickwork around the boiler is the final job in the restoration of the new common beam engine.
I'll not lie to you, I'm not much of a bricklayer, to be honest, Jeff.
Now's your chance to shine, Guy.
Yeah, Jeff's the man. Jeff's the man. No, he is. That's the saying, isn't it? Jack of all trades, master of none. But I think he's Jack of all trades, master of all. Eh?
It would be good to put a half brick there and then an extended half there.
Right.
Last brick.
Last
see where he
brick.
fits.
That's the last one. Right.
With the final brick in place, the team are ready at last to put their work to the test. by finally bringing this titan of the industrial age back to life.
We'll brush the excess off the face of the brick. That should be it, and off we go.
All right. We've been talking about it for ages, haven't we, how it works, and now this valve does this, and the water goes in here and all that business, but there'll be no better way to see it than actually seeing this great big thing moving in the flesh. It'll be great.
Seven months after a restoration team started work on the Newcomen beam engine at the Black Country Museum, the time has come for Guy to see if all the hard work has paid off.
I am genuinely excited to see what's going to happen.
You've got to get the fire over the grate, all right?
I'm not having your hands saying I'm excited.
And the problem with that is you've got the flue round here.
Go on.
So the fire doesn't start for about 2 or 3 feet. So you've got to get the fire built over the grate.
Right, do you want me to get in there then?
Which means you've got to get in there, all right?
All right.
Along with Chief Engineer Jeff, he's going to fire up the steam engine for the first time since it was shut down for restoration.
Go. How many gallons of water have we got to get to 100 degrees then?
Several hundred gallons.
700
It'll take about an hour and a half, that's all.
Yeah.
So if you come out now, we'll poke a lighted paper in.
The team doesn't yet know if the renovated engine will function properly.
Close the door, let the air draft blow through it. OK, Guy, if you'd like to take the cover off, we've got 5 tons of coal outside. You might like to shovel that in. It's a very hungry engine, this.
Right, I'll get some shoveling on.
Yeah, you could be here for a while.
Guy's own contribution will help to start the fire.
Yeah, picked off the Coalface with my own fair hands, I suppose.
He's kept hold of the coal he mined, so it can be used to heat the boiler. After 90 minutes, the coal fire has brought the 700-gallon kettle to the boil. When Thomas Newcomen fired up his machine for the very first time in 1712, little did he know that it was a key moment in Britain's industrial revolution. Now, exactly 300 years later, it's the moment of truth for the last working beam engine in the world.
Who was the fella, Back to the Future, Dr. Emmett Brown? You know, you see all these mad inventions and that, you just think, what is going on there? And I think that, to me, that's what they see down.
Yeah.
I want to see it all going. So go on, right, where do you want me?
OK, right, we're ready to go then, guys. So if you'd like to operate this, you lift that up.
Yeah.
And close the steam valve.
When Jeff releases the main valve that Guy repaired, cold water will condense the steam in the cylinder, creating a vacuum. It should pull the pump into action.
Keep it closed.
And it does.
Now open this gently.
Bloody hell.
That's a lovely job.
Newcomen designed his engine to work all by itself. It's an automatic, self-propelling mechanism.
If you just jog those 2 forks together, see whether it'll run automatically. Yeah, that's good. Connect him in now.
There's just so many bits of rope and linkages now. I'm just sort of fascinated how it's going to work, and I genuinely thought that we're never going to get it working in the automatic mode today. I thought we was never to do everything manual, but yeah, it's I'm well impressed.
Despite the size and complexity of the machine, a beam engine could be run by just one man, feeding the fire and oiling the moving parts. Newcomen had handed ordinary workers extraordinary powers.
There's no other Newcomen beam engines running in the country or in the world.
No.
Yeah, that's running a treat now, isn't it?
That's running probably about 13 or 14 strokes
a minute. And you've all these rods and linkages and ropes and all that, and even I'm not a brain surgeon, but even I looked at that and I thought, well, you could have a gear system doing all that. But back 300 years ago, it wasn't just as easy as that, just to get a gear, and casting stuff up. It was all blacksmiths, bent bits of bar, and just stuck bent bits of metal and just threshed together, and it did the job. So yeah, at the time, 300 years ago, people were amazed when they saw it. What it was doing, and it's just so Heath Robinson, and it worked, and it did the job. She's the job, isn't it? A bit quieter than I thought. I did think it was going to sound like a bomb scene. But no, it's a treat, isn't it? I wouldn't mind it being that man, you know. If I had the choice of being a miner or being the engine operator, that's me there. Thomas Newcomen came up with this idea 300 odd years ago, and he built his first one just up the road. He said, if it weren't for this machine, the Industrial Revolution would never have happened. And I just feel, I feel quite honoured to be, you know, to have the opportunity to be involved in the restoration. And then so you need to keep stuff like this going, don't you? You know, because I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I'm 30-year-old, and I didn't know anything about stuff like this, and I think well, we've got to keep stuff like this going. You know, there's going to be kids, there's going to be lads younger than me, and kids that need to know about stuff like this. We can't let stuff like this die, can we? We've got to keep stuff like this going. I think it's great.
Next time, Guy helps to restore the boat that changed the nation's diet.
Right, ready about?
Tries his hand at the Industrial Revolution's most dangerous job.
Quite careful, this, eh?
And finds out how fish and chips became the #1 working class meal.
Do you want a bit of fish? Can I give you a bit of fish?
I'm vegetarian.
It's fish store.